With the spot in the quarterfinals of the US Open Cup booked, Atlanta United now turns its attention back to MLS with a trip to Toronto. We break down and discuss everything Atlanta United has to do to get all 3 points. Next.
What's going on, Five Trap fam? I'm AJ, this is Tanner McLeod. Before we get started, become a member of the Notification Squad on YouTube by hitting the bell next to the subscribe button. Or if you're on Facebook, hit that like and follow button.
You can now also find all our content on the Geneco USA platform anywhere in the world on Amazon Fire TV, Roku, iOS, Google Play, and many other streaming platforms.
Welcome to a match preview special. It's a Wednesday night match in Ontario as we take on Toronto FC at BMO Field. Like you said it before, this is a weakened squad that we're going to be playing for sure. A lot of guys away at the Gold Cup. They still have Alejandro Pozuelo though, and he's still a handful, but we kind of contained him last match, so at least there is that. It's gonna be, I think, still it's a place that we haven't won, so we have to get that monkey off our back for sure. And it's a kind of place of horrors, horror shop of horrors, or whatever.
Little shop of horrors.
Little shop of horrors. There you go. Because of that 4-0 loss 4-1 loss.
We did get
we got that goal. But it's still, we were not able to get over the line for the Supporter Shield last season. So in terms of this, it's a place we need to rectify some things. Toronto, they are not having a good go of things with their form recently, with a bunch of draws and losses, at least
no
2
wins
draws.
In their last 6.
Exactly.
In MLS.
Yeah, exactly. And so, not exactly fantastic for them. Of course, we're in pretty decent form. We got 4 W's in a row after those 2 losses in a row. So we're doing kind of pretty well. I think we've won 9 of 11 overall in all competitions. That's also fantastic. So that's good form in kind of very sporadic matches throughout this month. And so we finally get back to MLS. That's it's a place where, yes, maybe we won't catch an LAFC, but we still need to get as many points as possible so we can get as high in the Eastern Conference as possible.
Absolutely. You have 2 matches back-to-back against East teams that are very good. You'll have this match, and then you'll do the Canadian two-step when you face Montreal at home on the 29th. Both teams are teams that Atlanta United needs to get points against when going into a very difficult period in July. So in order to get going for that and to get that momentum back in MLS, you have to secure a result here. As we mentioned before, they will be a weakened side. They will be without Michael Bradley. They will be without Josie Altidore. They will be without Jonathan Osorio. They will be without Ashton Morgan, all because of the Gold Cup. They actually play FC Dallas on Saturday. We do not know the result of that match yet at time of recording, but again, they have not been playing well. They have been conceding goals, and Atlanta United has been not conceding goals in the league, but also has started to find that scoring form.
Mm-hmm.
I think for Atlanta United, it's going to be very interesting to see who starts in this game. I think it will be very similar to that Columbus game, but we'll break that down in a bit. Can we take our chances against a weakened team, against a weakened Toronto side that Atlanta United, I think on paper, is better than, and finally get that result in a place where you haven't gotten a win yet?
Yeah, agreed. And, in terms of the players that they do have, it would be a toss-up of who actually starts, of course, because of how many players are out. But in terms of the strengths that they have, they are a team that really like to play direct. And in terms of that, they've come back from a lot of losing positions, but they've also, have a weakness in protecting their lead as well. So, there are goals to be had, I think, in this match for sure. Now, in terms of their wing play, they're also very strong, and so it'll be very important who we have set up as our fullbacks. We'll also be missing an Escobar, actually.
Yes,
so
he'll be suspended with that yellow card that he picked up. So
yeah.
Who starts at right back? Is it a Parkhurst? I'm not sure. I think that's going to be a place where Atlanta United could potentially be exposed at if they play with a back four. I think for me, this game really comes down to who can control the midfield. I think Toronto will really miss out on the fact that they do not have a Michael Bradley there. He dictates the tempo for that team.
As maligned as he is,
for the national team, he's still very important for Toronto. So I think for Atlanta United to be able to put energy, put men in midfield, and be able to control the ball there, I think could see Atlanta United have a lot of the possession again in this match. And if they can have a lot of the possession, will they be able to break down a Toronto side that I think will still try to attack them? I don't think that Toronto...
Especially, we're away. They're home. They want to score for their fans. You kind of have to see them probably coming out a little bit more, even though we might possess it a little bit more, and they'll definitely. I
think
direct.
that plays in Atlanta's favor, though. If Toronto does try to play out more and create that space and allow that space in behind, even if you don't have, say, Joseph Martinez, you still have an Ezequiel Barco back. You still have a PT Martinez back. You have players who can take advantage of spaces that are left there. And I also think Brandon Vasquez will start in this match, and he offers a bit of a different vibe to what Toronto is used to playing against, because he offers you a bigger, larger physical presence than Joseph Martinez does. So most of their film in terms of MLS will be of Joseph Martinez playing as a striker. Brandon Vasquez will offer them something different. How they choose to mark him and how they choose to play against him will be very interesting, because I think if he can grab a goal in this game, he will really cement himself as a player that will be included in the 18 going forward. But again, he's not a player that they have a lot of film on, and they can make a lot of decisions on how they will defend him.
Right, and I think though it will be a very, very good test for Brandon Vasquez against, it will be MLS opposition essentially, and so with that, it will be very interesting to see what kind of game he has and how he gets on for sure. But let's get to some of the match facts about this game. Basically, there have been over 2.5 goals scored in 16 of Toronto's last 17 home games in MLS. That's kind of a crazy number. So that means, there are goals to be had for sure in this. Atlanta United have kept a clean sheet in 7 of their last 9 matches in MLS. So kind of bodes well for us.
I think the last stat is the one that really shines out. The fact that Toronto have conceded at least 2 goals in 6 of their last 7 home matches. So that bodes well for Atlanta United, because with how Atlanta has been playing defensively, if Atlanta can get 2 goals, I think Atlanta are very much favorites to win this match, because they've been so good at keeping them out, and against a side that's missing some of their biggest weapons in a Josie Altidore, in a Michael Bradley. You have the chance to take advantage of a team that might not have the bite that they usually do. Again, Pozuelo is an incredible player who can score from almost anywhere, but if he's their sole attacking threat, Atlanta United should definitely be favoring their chances in this match.
Yeah, indeed. But also, he still was missing from last match. He was still somewhere in Eric Remedi's pocket, so we'll see where he is on Wednesday for sure. But and in terms of like what Atlanta is dealing with injuries wise, it's not too much. So George Bello, of course, long term still. You have the kind of unpredictability of what Tito Villalba is at with his injury. He was said to be at 80-90% this past week, and hopefully getting to 100% during the week of the match. But
I think he'll feature as a sub if in the Toronto match.
If anything.
I don't see him starting.
Exactly, but someone that could get a start, but he hasn't played in a while, Julian Gressel. He pretty much got an extended rest essentially. He had some tight, well deserved for sure. But he had some tight hamstrings, I believe, and so now he's recovered, hopefully, and it shouldn't be that big of a deal. But does he get a start? That's a big question. And of course, Jose Martinez is still with Venezuela, and
Escobar suspended.
So that gets us to our predicted starting 11. We'll get it through the lines here. I think it's Guzan, of course.
Absolutely.
Between the sticks, for sure.
I think Parkhurst at right back is gonna have to probably be your shout.
He's the default guy that can play right back, unless you try to, maybe bring in a Gallagher at this point. But
he hasn't played him before. Exactly. He's not going to play him now.
Exactly, and so you have to see, I think, the veteran play there. Robinson, LGP as the center backs for sure. Then it's almost by default now. Again, it's Shea
at left back.
And so let's get into our midfield. I think it's the I think it's pretty much first choice by now. Nagbe and Remedi as
they give you the most energy and they'll be able to cover the most ground. And in a midfield against Toronto where they'll be undermanned, they won't have their best players there. I think that those two guys can really go a long way in terms of controlling that match, controlling the midfield, and making sure Atlanta United control the game as a whole.
Yeah, and so we're kind of hinting at it. We're gonna go with the 4-2-3-1 as we've seen play very well recently and throughout the pretty much month and a half that we've been using it. And so on the right, I think it's kind of an easier call. PT Martinez going to be there. Who's in the middle for you?
Ezequiel Barco's got to be him. Back in MLS, he's back to fitness, back to playing well. I mean, he got a little bit of time off after the U20 World Cup, but you saw him play. I think did he play the full? He played the full 90 or 90 plus whatever against Columbus. I think he'll feature back in this game, and I think he's going to be your key factor for this match as well. He's really coming into his own as a player for Atlanta United, and he's filling that Miguel Almiron hole that was struggling to be filled at the beginning of the season. I think what's interesting is who you start on the left.
Yeah, indeed.
I'm going to play Dion Pereira. I think he didn't play last match. He's played most of the MLS minutes up till now. But you have someone different there.
Yeah, I have someone different. I think it's Justin Meram because of that connection with Brandon Vasquez up top. There has been some really good service to be able to get Brandon Vasquez into spots where he can score. So I think having that little bit of continuity, I think bodes well for that. I think the spacing between all these guys is what's going to be very, very important because Justin Meram, he's a little bit more, he has cut in a little bit more as well. PT Martinez, being left-footed on the right, he'll cut in as well. Barco kind of is a little bit more central. I feel like, yeah, maybe we need a little bit more width here, and especially if you have a Parkey who's maybe not going to offer as much on the right in terms of going forward. Yeah, I mean, we need to really be able to have that outlet on the wings. I don't really know if we have that in this match, and so we might have to see, we've seen this a lot, the wingers switch wings, and we'll see if that happens. That could bode a little bit better because that service from the wings will be very, very important, or at least something over the top for Brandon Vasquez. And
Brandon Vasquez will be that starter up top in terms of striker. I think in terms of how he's been playing, he has to be that guy.
Yeah.
I think as we kind of touched on earlier, if Gressel and Tito make the 18, I think both of those guys are second half substitutions. And in terms of subs you can bring on an MLS, I struggle to think of better ones because you bring them on in the second half and they both offer something different from what Toronto's been facing all match. And if you need something to happen, you have two guys who are usually regular starters coming in and being able to create chances for you. So I think if they're both fit, I think those two guys are definitely subs off the bench and probably your typical Lorinolet sub as well to kind of kill the match if Atlanta United are in control. So.
Yeah, indeed. So, that gets us to our score prediction. And what do you got?
I got a 2-1 for Atlanta United. I think that without most of their players in bad form already, I don't think Toronto are as good as Atlanta are. Even though Atlanta don't have a Joseph Martinez, I think you kind of get something back by having an Ezequiel Barco back in the side.
Yeah.
I think Brandon Vasquez has showed that he can play well, and whether or not he scores, I think he will be a nuisance for Toronto, and they might want to mark him a bit tighter because of his size, and if they do that, they're going to leave space for players like PT Martinez and Ezequiel Barco to exploit. And I just think in a weakened Toronto side, even though it is away, I think Atlanta United can get the job done and get a 2-1 win and bring all 3 points back to Atlanta.
Yeah, I hope it's your score. I unfortunately have to go with a 2-2 draw. I think there will be goals. There will be some good back and forth going on. I just shudder. I think with Shea and Parkey as part of that back line, it just won't be as dynamic as we usually have. And so we'll ship a couple goals, but it's still a fairly decent result. We still, unfortunately, with my results here that I've prognosticated, I don't think we'll get that monkey off our back, unfortunately. But hopefully it is not the case. But guys, that's our match preview. Let us know your score predictions in the comments below. But guys, remember to subscribe if you haven't already. Smash that like button, and really, please share this video because it really does help us a lot. And for Tanner McLeod, I'm AJ. Thank you guys so much for watching.